All the denials in the world cannot ease or diminish the impact of the disturbing images we're about to show you and what they tell us about the terror inflicted on the town of Bucha, Ukraine, and who did it. The bodies, the blood-stained streets, a bullet-riddled car displaying a white flag, a child placing items on a freshly dug grave. Tonight, journalists, including our own Richard Engel, are on the ground answering the call the moment demands, bearing witness to brutality and injustice, writing fresh pages to a history we thought belonged to another century. The world's outrage has so far been no match for Russia's cruelty. Ukraine's President Zelensky speaking to the UN Security Council today, asking that Russia be held accountable and describing the atrocities in Bucha in horrifying detail, but no more graphic than what survivors and eyewitnesses are describing to Richard directly. Here's his report, and once again, let me remind you, the images are highly disturbing.
To enter Bucha now, you have to drive past a graveyard of Russian tanks. Ukrainian troops kicked the Russians out of this Kyiv suburb and once again are in charge. But for 5 weeks, Russian soldiers occupied Bucha, destroyed much of it, and imposed a reign of terror. Today, residents were coming out of hiding. In front of their building, Valentina and her friend said Russian soldiers went apartment to apartment, mostly searching for men. They were breaking open doors with axes and sledgehammers, she says. If you talked back, they shot you. She wanted to show me something behind the building.
She's saying one of her neighbors was so frightened because the Russian soldiers were banging on his door that he jumped out of that window on the 3rd floor and came landing on the ground. He didn't die, hurt himself, but managed to escape. He thought the Russians were just going to shoot him dead. Desperation.
A few feet away was a grave Valentina dug with her friend.
You put up a cross. You buried 4 people here?
2 were our neighbors, she says. We don't know who the other 2 are, but buried them anyway. She says all 4 of them were machine gunned by Russian troops. She doesn't know why. Please don't let this happen again, she says. We are regular, hard-working people. Down the street, the Abramov family was in their home when Russian soldiers threw a grenade through the window and set fire to the house. Vladimir and his daughter Irina came running out in the cold in slippers. They started to ask, where are the Nazis? Give us their addresses, he says.
They said, we are Russians. We came to liberate you.
The soldiers grabbed Irina's husband, Oleg, and took him out in front of the house.
They make him take his sweater off, then they put him on his knees and shot him in the head. I went on the street and blood was still pumping from his head. I started to shout, kill me too, because I have only one husband.
She thinks they killed him to scare others in Bucha into submission.
He was facing in this direction?
Yes.
And this part of his head, I still see the blood there.
Oleg was a welder. Irina says he never served in the military because of his bad back. When Oleg's killers left, it was very cold, and they took his sweater with them.
I always thought that they were our brothers. I'm half Russian myself.
Ukrainian troops estimate hundreds of civilians were murdered in Bucha. They are still finding bodies after a wanton disregard for human life here that even in war is a crime.
Richard, it is also difficult to watch and to hear those stories. You were telling us this is a very different kind of war zone than you've seen before.
In war, unfortunately, death and destruction are very common. But what was different here is that these soldiers felt confident enough to go from house to house, killing people in front of fellow Russian soldiers. And they were also parroting back this dehumanizing propaganda that is being put out by Russian state media. And that is very disturbing.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.